So we're looking at 115 off the. So we have a quick change where the Director of Cricket for Charlie Brick will be joining us. Thank you, Bimal. Very well done.
Oh, good time to come in, actually, Jack. We've got the young Nepalese leg spinner about to come on and have his first bowl of the tournament.
Yes, this is a very, when I looked at the notes, very interesting. Does it spin more at altitude, do you think?
I'm not sure, but from what I've seen on the TV, he's extremely talented.
He certainly turns it. And so how has he come? Who selected him who asked him to come and join us here?
Well, one of the things that we wanted in this tournament was to actually have associate cricketers from other nations involved. Obviously, being an associate ourselves, we think it's important to expose them to the game as well. So we allowed all teams to have an associate player, which didn't count towards their international or overseas player quota. So the Cantons picked him up, and a good pick.
For sure. It's certainly got a wily action with a little bit of turn on it. Does he bowl googly? How much have you seen of him in your dealings around the associate nations and competitions?
Yeah, I've heard he does, only because I know when the Cantons were recruiting, they were looking at some videos, and I do believe Ryan Campbell told me he does have a googly, so we'll soon find out, no doubt.
Well, he's got a slow wicket to deal with, which is somewhat not welcome for leg spin spinners most of the time, but he seems to be pushing it through and getting it fully up there. I think the Jaguars in this respect are having a good look at him before they can weigh him up on how to play him. It goes without saying, I think.
He seems quite a shy kid as well, so no doubt this is a bit of a daunting thing, coming over to a place he's never been and people he's never met. Chris Carter's on strike at the moment. He's one of our new young players in the national squad. Got a call up late last year to the UAE tour and debuted in ODI cricket and first class cricket. He's only 18-year-old. Born here, actually, Jack, born in Hong Kong.
He looks a well put together player. I think he also is a wicket keeper, keeps well, has good hands, compact. I think he's performed quite well when he's been asked to. When you, as the Hong Kong Director of Cricket, have asked him to come and perform, he's shown maturity beyond his years in one or two innings he's played. So I think all goes well for him.
He batted very well in a game against England last year, in November last year, batted very well. It's got him. Kinshit Shah gone. Caught Campbell.
I think that shows he might have the googly, I think. If we can see a replay, I think that went away. It's a thick edge. It's looped to the slip fielder. The batsman coming down the wicket, looking to hit the ball cross the line a little bit. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if my eyesight is quite right, that might have been at least the toppy or the googly. It certainly went straight and bounced, so we'll give the bowler the benefit of the doubt. It looked as if it was possibly a toppy, but again, another batting decision, which I begin to think, is it really necessary at this stage to play such a shot?
Yeah, particularly from your captain as well. I mean, he's one of the top batsmen in the competition, and obviously they're one of their star players, so probably not the shot that you'd be looking for in the 8th over. I mean, they need to tick this along, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but tick these along and make sure that he's there. If Kinshit Shah bats deep, they're going to do.
Well, I think one thing you touch upon now, just to update, we're looking at 63 for 4 off 9 over, so it's a one uphill task, and for the Jaguars to look at nearly 100 off 11 overs, so that's quite an uphill task, I believe, on this wicket with the experience of the Kowloon Cantons. But Charlie, you just touched upon something which you've been quite instrumental in developing younger cricketers, but not just within Hong Kong, but able to get them out to other parts of the world for their own experience, and I believe that's bearing dividends now.
Oh, absolutely. When I first came here, one of things we decided to do was, to make sure that we use our contacts around the world in cricket and send 3 or 4 players overseas and expose them to different competitions around the world. We have some clubs around, particularly in the UK, that have been very supportive. I mean, Bishop's Waltham is one club in particular in the Hampshire League who have taken one of our young national players every year, and they've actually gone up a division every single year, which has been terrific. And we've got a lot of people in different academies too, which is great. Bit of invention here by Carter.
Well, I think this shows a little bit of the quality Carter has shown. He's a leg spinner. He's weighed up what do I need to do different, and he's trying it. And I think that's one thing about the youth of today. They're not frightened to try these invention shots, and 2 4s off 2 balls, which is put a bit of pressure on our Nepalese leg spinner now. Good comeback. He gets a bit of dip, so obviously he's putting a bit of rip on the ball, and that's good to see. Absolutely.
Now, Jack, I want you to tell me how you would pronounce his name, because I pronounce it Sandeep, but I was at a Nepalese restaurant the other night and I was telling them about it, and one of them told me it should be pronounced Sondeep.
Well, I've been given a list how to pronounce names, so if you just give me a second, I'll try to find out where I have to go on this. 1 second, I just have to find the right team.
Maybe some of the, hopefully there's a few people in Nepal watching, if you can maybe send us a way to pronounce it. I think it's Sandeep, but I have been told maybe this guy's trying to stitch me up and say Sondeep.
I've got him here as a 15-year-old. Is he 15 only?
Yes, he is.
Leg spinner. No, my pages are going in the wind, but I have got a pronunciation for him, and even his surname. So in that respect, just bear with me 1 second. Sandeep, which is the easy part of his name, and Lamichanai.
Beautifully said.
But Mr. Lamichanai put it halfway down, which is one of the faults you get from, I won't say mistakes, but it's a tendency from a leg spinner sometimes to bowl a half picture. And the youngster got it away nicely. Good foot position. I think what's important is that they stay there for the next 2 or 3 overs and try to keep things going, because I think without any doubt, the longer you stay in, the more chance you have of getting used to them, then picking the over rate up. So, it's at the moment, they're still, over rate is very good. It's still 85 off 11. Okay, it's still 80 to come off 9, but one person suddenly taking the ball apart, you could still be in this game.
Yeah, well, we've seen it, haven't we? We've seen that even yesterday's game, the first game of the tournament, we saw that, it's never over until that last ball's bowled, and that's the great thing about 2020 cricket.
They've got to push for 2 here. They've got to push for 2 here. Oh, an easy 2. Exactly. I've seen some hesitancy in the running here. I think maybe it's because the running of the outfield, nobody's really going for it. It's also very hot, of course. But there's always been the odd hesitancy without clear calls of 2. This is what it is. Let's go for it. Which, as you say, these small differences make all the difference. The odd 1 or 2 there could make a difference.
There's a better delivery there by Sandeep. He chucked it up a bit more, had the right pace there.
Well, Carter is now seeing his way that he has to do something, but I'm not quite so sure what he was trying. I think if he had hit that, it had only gone up in the air. I'm trying to work out on the field placing. You've got a man out on the slog, you've got a deep long on, deep long off, and an extra cover here, and a deep square leg. So obviously he's looking to aim at the slog boundary, but I'm not quite so sure that that's necessarily the area to hit it. That's the area to hit it. I always have difficulty, and it's a slow hitting against a spin. It's sometimes a lot easier to hit with it, but just place it more.
Just looking at Michael Clark's out at deep mid wicket. Got a few fans out there at the moment.
Jowett.
Well, this is what you're right, we caught it, but it's a classic dismissal, basically. And again, I always think about the thought pattern. He'll learn from the idea of, in such circumstances, he's done the hard work, and he's got himself in some sort of position, and yet, really, 90 times out of 100, those balls go up in the air.
I think he had the right idea, the over 4. I thought he played that reverse sweep beautifully. I know it was a touch in the air, but I thought he played it beautifully.
Yes, and I sometimes begin to wonder, what is the thought patterns? Is it playing by numbers at times, or because they see it, they have to do it there? But for me, in any case, I still believe he's a talent. Here we have the replay again. It's a leg spinner. It's opened his leg, cleared it, and if you really look at it, it's only ever going to go one way. It went a long way, though. A long way up in the air.
Jowett.